Yesterday I made a video at EA potentially hinting at a new Command & Conquer at next week's EA Play event, and recently I found further evidence at what this potential Command & Conquer game could be, and in this video I don't only want to specifically focus on that Command & Conquer game, but also what other games we could see in next week's EA Play event. Red here, and just in case you didn't see the video, here it is again. Now the animation goes through a bunch of words, and the one specific one that I want to focus on mainly is when it says where GDI come to play, but it also goes through a bunch of other words, and I just want to run through them as to what I think those games could be referring to. Now some of the words are legends, pilots, MVP, racers, elites, players, and then of course GDI. Now legends of course could be referring to Apex Legends, that is practically a no-brainer. Pilots is most likely referring to the new leaked game Star Wars Squadrons, and recently EA did announce it, and they specifically said on their Twitter account pilots wanted, and that goes in line with the phrase where pilots come to play. Racers is most likely referring to Need for Speed, as we did see a final update for Need for Speed Heat recently where Need for Speed went crossplay, and EA also stated that they are working on a next Need for Speed, so we'll most likely see a new Need for Speed announced next week. As for elites, my guess is that it's probably referring to Battlefield, as that just goes in line, and of course MVPs is probably their sports titles, as we know EA has a lot of sports titles that they announce every year. So with that said, we will most likely see gameplay footage of Star Wars Squadrons, the new Need for Speed, a new Battlefield, a new season of Apex Legends, their sports titles, that being FIFA, Madden and NHL. But when it comes to the phrase where GDI comes to play, that is obviously referring to Command & Conquer. Now as mentioned in yesterday's video, I had a couple of theories as what this could be, but the big thing is, why do they say GDI and not something that refers to Command & Conquer as a whole? Why just focus on one faction? Now if you look at the history of Command & Conquer games, what game allows you to play only as GDI? That would be Renegade, because you play as a GDI commando, and saying where GDI come to play kinda makes sense when you think of being a commando totally kicking ass on the battlefield. Not only that, but about 3 months ago on Reset Era, somebody spoke about the remastered collection of Command & Conquer and the price that was announced, and one specific user asked a DICE developer, quote, "You are making a new Command & Conquer or what? Stop with the eyes already," end quote. And the developer simply responded by saying, quote, "It's gonna be a good year," end quote. The fact that a DICE developer jumped into a Command & Conquer thread and replied with a statement like this gives me the indication that we will most likely see a new version of Renegade developed by DICE in the new Frostbite engine. Whether this will be multiplayer focused or single player orientated is up for discussion, but considering that updates for Star Wars Battlefront is kinda wrapping up and a different team is most likely working on Battlefield 6, it kinda makes sense if some of the team that worked on Battlefront 2 shifted onto the development of this new Command & Conquer. We could see something in the lines of Battlefront 2 where you have a campaign with an addition to multiplayer, or you could see something in the lines of Battlefield Bad Company but focused on Command & Conquer, where the game is only focusing on the campaign, essentially giving you a 5 to 10 hour experience priced at about $20. However, with it being EA, they will most likely see how they can monetize this, so making it an online shooter like Battlefield and Battlefront just makes sense to me. I'm pretty certain they learned their lesson with loot boxes and Battlefront 2, so I doubt we'll see something like that in this game. That is, if it ends up being a Renegade style game in the Frostbite engine. But given the fact that it says where GDI come to play, and this DICE developer responded on the comment, in addition to the fact that we just got a remaster of Command & Conquer Tiberian Dawn as well as Red Alert, thinking about it realistically, it will be too soon to release another remaster so soon after this collection. I'm almost certain we will see a remaster of Tiberian Sun as well as Red Alert 2 in the future, but I can actually see EA doing some sort of Command & Conquer presentation talking about the remastered collection and the success of it, saying essentially that the Command & Conquer franchise is back in full force. Thus you have the team that worked on the remastered collection working on a new remaster, that probably being Tiberian Sun and Red Alert, and then you have this different team at DICE doing a first-person shooter multiplayer style game such as Renegade in the Command & Conquer universe. Regardless, it is less than a week until we find out what this is, or if this is nothing at all. Maybe they just put it in because the remastered collection just released, so they just want to let people know like, hey, the Command & Conquer remastered collection is out there, buy it, play it, enjoy it, and we will work on a new game in the future. So essentially maybe they're just gonna have some sort of sizzle reel at the beginning or in the end showing some remastered footage, particularly the GDI, and that is why they're saying where GDI come to play. So all of this could get us excited for nothing really, but in my theory, in my opinion, I think they're gonna do a remake or a new Renegade style game with a campaign mode and a multiplayer developed by DICE in the new Frostbite engine. In all honesty, I would prefer a new Command & Conquer real-time strategy game or more remasters, but more Command & Conquer games is always awesome in my books. Just don't make a mobile game, please EA, do not do that. In addition to all of that, we know that EA is probably going to have some unannounced games there, one of them being the Mass Effect Remastered Collection, as we know that was kind of spoken about earlier but not officially revealed by EA. I'm also speculating that they're going to have a new Sims game and not specifically an expansion pack. I think they're going to do Sims 5 and essentially have the tagline Sims for the next generation, thus focusing on what the Sims will look like on next generation of consoles. Furthermore, they will probably have a few handful of indie games as they usually focus on those, maybe one or two mobile games as well, but I highly doubt they will talk about Anthem at all. It's too soon to talk about Anthem 2.0, and just mentioning Anthem at all is gonna be, well, let's just say it's not gonna be a good idea to talk about Anthem in any shape or form at this event. But I do think we will also see a tease of Dragon Age 4, as I think that's actually going to be the one that's going to open the conference, and the game that's going to close the conference is probably going to be Battlefield 6. As for how they will present this event, well, we did see Sony doing a pretty good job with the announcement of the PlayStation 5 during their online event, so I do hope EA is going to do something similar to that, go from developer to gameplay trailer to developer to trailer, and not sit around couches and talk too much, because people get bored of that pretty quickly. They just want to see the games, and if people do want to see developer interviews, do want to see extended gameplay, then they can watch that afterwards. I do hope EA does something like that where they do a deep dive developer interview with different games and different developers after the conference, where we can see more gameplay footage, where we can see more about the game and just know more about the game. But I do think the event itself will probably be about an hour and 20 minutes to an hour and a half, where they just focus on the games and then afterwards they do developer interviews. But as I said, my guess is that they will open with Dragon Age 4 and close this event with Battlefield 6. But that is just my theory and my opinion. I will do a live stream of the EA Play event next week and do my full reaction as the event unfolds. So if that's something you want to stay tuned with, then be sure to click the subscribe button and let me know in the comment sections below what's your thought. What do you think is going to happen with the Command & Conquer franchise? Do you think this where GDI come to play is nothing at all, or is it teasing to a new Command & Conquer game? For more Command & Conquer news, check out the rest of my channel, and if you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, then give me a thumbs down, but please tell me why so I can improve my videos. My name is Frank, I'm the RedTieGuy, and frankly, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.